The so-called Dunning Kruger effect when it comes to security-related topics is very, very important. And there's a very, very big distinction when it comes to security topics and other topics. So what does that mean even, the Dunning-Kruger effect? Well, it doesn't mean that people are very stupid, have low intelligence, and think they're geniuses. It means that if you are not into a specific topic, if you haven't researched it, if you haven't read many books about something, you are prone to overestimate your skills, your abilities, your understanding. It's a very, very common effect. And normally, when it comes to a regular field of expertise or science, right, the easy answer would be just listen to the experts, listen to the academics, because they've learned all this stuff and they know what is what. That would be the easy answer. So when you apply this to security-related topics, it gets much more complicated. With a normal topic, even, science can be subverted. Science can be manipulated when it's about money and influence. However, if you're talking chemistry, if you're talking physics, you have formulas, especially mathematical formulas, well-established things you can use to check if something is accurate or not, right? Or if somebody is actually able to build a certain thing, build a certain space rocket, or colonize Mars, and do this or do that. So the proof oftentimes is in the pudding. Is someone actually able to pull this off or not? So when it's about a security-related topic, a certain war or internal security, right? If it concerns the core interests of any empire, any country, you don't have chemical formulas. You don't have mathematical formulas. You can't just recalculate somebody else's calculations and then you're done. You can say this is wrong or this is right. It's very much different. So with security topics, you have to rely on knowledge, a lot of data, logic, and a clear and precise language. So you can't go all Marxist and use woozy phrases and terms and make up your own definitions and then toss around a bunch of terms. You can't just delve into philosophical territory and not really say anything concrete. You can't be contradictory, or woozy in any way. You have to have very, very clear language. And then there's another special factor when it comes to security topics, and that is overclassification. A whole bunch of stuff is actually secret, and most people underestimate how much is actually secret. We have the internet, we have television, we have so many people talking into their webcams, and everybody's talking about anything. So, general impression, we have so much knowledge, and especially if people are activists from any sort of ideological standard political group, they tend to think that all major questions have been answered. They think they know enough. It's just about activism. It's just about spreading that knowledge. So they do not care oftentimes about unmasking secret structures and operations. So recently we had the scandal of Donald Trump and the secret documents that he stashed in his homes. You've seen photos of boxes of secret material, boxes in his toilet, right? And now the question is, how secret was this stuff? Who had access? What security measures were actually applied and all of that. So we may even be talking about special access programs, which of course is a huge problem. If you are a sitting active US president, for example, of course you get very, very broad access to secret documents. You're the so-called intelligence customer, so the reports are made for you. But even the most high-level reports, the most important documents you can read, even they are not full of details. They do not necessarily reveal sources and methods. So even if you're the sitting president, a lot of stuff is kept from you. And of course, if you're getting reports from different intelligence communities, they can pre-select what kind of information ends up in the report. So they don't have to give you everything, even when you're the sitting president of the United States. Because presidents come and go, the CIA will be there. Other intelligence agencies will remain. The more you learn about past intelligence operations, the more you read old documents that were classified and then were later unclassified, oftentimes in a censored form, the more you actually get to know these things, the more you increase your knowledge, the more you understand how much else is still secret. Over the last couple of years, people were obsessing about certain questions. The election of 2020 and then that whole debate, who may have been manipulating what, and what about the Russians? What did past presidents do with the Russians? Was that the right? Were those the right choices? Is the United States ruling class really divided into a left-wing bloc and a right-wing bloc? Do they really want to destroy each other? Who is secretly running the world? What role is the Russian regime playing? Why did they go into Ukraine? And all that sort of things. People debate these questions. Some of the people talking about these questions, some of them are academics, and most people are not academics. And so people go on the internet and they hear something, they see something that they like because it fits their ideological perception. It gives them affirmation of their beliefs. It may calm their fears. It may raise some serious hope. People find things on the internet that are tailor-made for that specific audience, and people like these ideas, and then they do activism with those ideas. And then we see people get their stuff from the internet. They clash with academics, right? And these academics, they claim to be the experts, and they have a different opinion. But even the academics are severely limited because oftentimes they do not have access to secret information. They do not have a security clearance. And when they do have a clearance, they are not allowed to reveal any secret information, any secret networks, or any secret methods. So you find an academic report about an important issue, and you read this report, and it seems very, very superficial, and it doesn't really say that much. And this is because the people making these reports, they're not allowed to put anything secret in it. So they're not even allowed to logically find certain secrets, which is possible. It's possible to do that, but they're not really willing to do that or allowed to do that. And oftentimes they think the public needs to hear a specific set of information at a specific time, right? Because policies keep changing. Loyalties change, alliances change, and usually you are being told what somebody wants you to hear at a specific point. These academic reports, oftentimes from think tanks, then get quoted by regular newspapers. So you get a report that doesn't really say anything, and then key quotes from that report end up in the news article. People read those news articles, they memorize these few talking points, and then the newspaper reader can spread these talking points on social media or just have a water cooler discussion with somebody about that. And so these newspaper readers, they think they understand these things. They think they understand the Russians and the US system and all that because they think they rely on the opinions of experts. And that's when the Dunning Kruger effect really, really hits hard. So they think they know it all, they think they can explain things, but you actually have the Dunning Kruger effect. These people, they do not really know about these things, and they overestimate their knowledge. And then you get these people talking to other folks who get their information from standard conspiracy media, right? And these conspiracy buffs, they themselves did not really read enough actual books about all these topics. So this is also when the Dunning-Kruger effect hits really hard. Some people have spent 10 years or more consuming traditional conspiracy media, this sort of activism. And because of that long amount of time, they think they are the experts. They can explain it all and they can solve it all. But it's all just Dunning Kruger. If you look really close, conspiracy media for about 200 years has been under control for the most part by governments and their intelligence agencies. So this really started after the French Revolution, when British intelligence wanted to create more chaos in France. This was the birth of the modern conspiracy literature. This is when Robison's book Proofs of a Conspiracy came out, and Baruel released his 4-volume series, right? This was not just a bunch of guys, unraveling the Bavarian Illuminati and, the French Revolution, that sort of stuff. This was the work of British intelligence. They had specific goals. They wanted to create chaos in France, and they wanted to prevent people from finding out the traces of British intelligence networks, which was mostly aristocratic networks at the time. So nowadays, you get people from the field of social sciences, right? That this is what they learned, this is what they studied, and then they want to tackle the issue of conspiracy media, right? They may be qualified to debunk obvious nonsense, but this is pretty much all they can do because they haven't been trained in intelligence matters. They haven't been trained in the history of the empires and the intelligence agencies, right? It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. They think their expertise applies, but it's only in a very, very limited fashion. And this is why people throw around these terms like conspiracy or conspiracy theory. If you use clear terms, established terms, right? For example, you talk about a report that alleges illegal intelligence operations, right? Or you refer to a person as someone who puts out reports about possible or alleged illegal intelligence operations. If you use those terms, then you automatically apply professional standards, right? You try to figure out if that person who wrote the report, if that person is qualified. And if somebody criticizes the report and says it's nonsense, that critic also needs to be looked at. Is this person qualified to judge these matters? This is why certain people use these terms, conspiracy and conspiracy theory, and they don't even give proper, clear definitions of what that means. This is basically a Marxist technique. You make up certain terms, you don't really define them, and then you use those terms. And when it comes to secret operations or possible secret operations, terms like conspiracy theory are meant to obfuscate the fact that somebody with a background in social sciences is supposed to obfuscate that this person is not really qualified in those matters. So, if you watch conspiracy stuff or if you watch certain activist stuff on the web, this is essentially the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you then see people criticizing that stuff and insinuating that the system really works and there can't be any big operations and everything's fine in general, if you see those people, this is also the Dunning-Kruger effect. So you pretty much have to start reading books. You have to find proper books. You have to judge these books in terms of their limitations and their intentions. But you do have to read proper, real books about various intelligence agencies, various empires, various operations. And the more you read, the better you understand things, and the less you are affected by the Dunning-Kruger effect.